Hello, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, coming to you with another live feed. I know it's been a little while, so I'm excited to be back to it and get into these regular live feeds of the topics that just come up so often. And I want you guys to just have good information. Like, I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm not here to pressure you into anything. I'm not here to, be part of some sort of, rally of like getting you to believe something. Like, I think that people make good decisions when they have the truth. And the problem is that there are so many myths out there. There are so many lies out there. There are so many things that I myself believed for so many years that actually got me to the opposite place of where I wanted. I believed that doing X would get me Y, when doing X would get me like Q. And Q was the thing that I wanted the least. Q was the thing that I was doing X for. I know this is getting a little abstract. I'll bring it back. But I just want you guys to have good information so that you know the truth of what's happening, and then you can make decisions from there. This is your life. This is your body. This is your eating disorder. This is your overeating. This is your bulimia. This is your whatever it is, right? And yes, that's what we do. Like, we help people to end their eating disorders using nothing but their brain. If they want to. That's a really important piece of it. If they want to. You don't have to want anything. You can want what you want. You can have an eating disorder for the rest of your life. Nobody gets to make that decision for you. But if you want freedom and if you want to be able to know how to do that, then this is a great place to be. So hello, so fun to see you. Hello, so fun to see you guys popping on. Feel free to hearts and likes and comments and questions and all of that. That's why we do these live, for that interactive piece where you guys can be the real you and ask whatever you like. So go ahead, and we're going to launch into our topic today. And as we're going into this, I want you guys to think about your own experience and what that feels like for you. And that would be a great thing to comment. Just, have that shared experience of like, oh yeah, I've totally done that. Or like, I felt that way, or this is what it was like for me. And, that's all really important, just data. And it helps so many other people when you share. So I love how Elizabeth Gilbert talks about it. She talks about just giving permission slips to people, right? Just like we sort of go throughout our life thinking there are things we can do and can't do. And then someone comes along that gives us, put that in quotes, gives us a permission slip of lets us know that it's okay, right? So when you share what you're struggling with, when you share what your real experience is, not only is that an amazing thing for you to be able to share, but it gives everyone else a permission slip to share. Like, oh, wait, like, oh, they're sharing, like maybe I could share. Oh gosh, like that's okay to say, like I'm not the only one in the world. Wow, I can share my experience too. And so feel free to just share your experience and who you are, and it gives everyone else a permission slip to do so. And it's a beautiful thing. So this is a really important topic because it really busts through one of these myths out there, which is something that I believed for a really long time. But we're going to talk about how overeating and undereating, and especially undereating, this is something that we don't think about as much, but how undereating and overeating changes our body, and for in a lot of cases permanently, in ways that we don't consent to. Like, wait, I was doing this thing because I thought it was going to help me, but this is actually damaging my body for the rest of my life. Like, whoa, like you would want to know about that. And so I really want you guys to have good information and education about that. So this is what I believed for years. You're believing like, okay, it's calories in, calories out. Like, I have control over this. I can control my body shape and my body size. If I work out more, if I eat less, then I will be a smaller, thinner, leaner person. End of story. Like, that's just the way that it is. All I need to do is work harder and be more dedicated and put more effort in. I've done that in so many other things, right? It's like you're thinking like, I've done that in my career. I've done that in my relationships. I've, done that in school. Like, of course I can just try harder. I'm a worker. I'm a doer. So that's all I need to do, right? Less calories in, more calories out. And then all of a sudden you run into this really weird thing that makes you feel very broken. The harder you try, the harder it gets. The harder you try to lose weight, the harder it gets to do it. And then the harder you try to lose weight, the quicker that it comes back on. And then if you lose any weight, then it comes back on faster. And then every time you go to lose weight again, it's harder to lose it. And it's this uphill battle of it feels like the harder you try, the worse it gets. But we have this idea in our mind of, oh, okay, but I just have to try harder. I just have to work harder. And so the only thing we know how to do is turn up the dial. The only thing we know how to do is, okay, well, I guess I've got to eat fewer calories now. I guess I've got to work out harder now. And There's a breaking point for that. And it's not just like there's a breaking point for that as it gets harder to do, but you look back and you realize that overall, there's this permanent effect of, I've been trying to lose 5 pounds for 5 years, and now I'm 20 pounds heavier than I ever have been before. And we look at that and we start thinking there's something wrong with us. Like, what is wrong with me that I can't get a handle on this? And so we go to more extreme things. How many times have I heard you guys say, like, I know this is awful for me, but I was just desperate, so I tried this diet. I know this is not what a smart person does, but I was desperate, so I did this. I know this is really unhealthy for me, but nothing else was working, so I did this. And it's like, whoa, like the things that we're willing to risk, because it's this, okay, well, I've just got to find the right thing, right? Because it's got to come down to just calories in, calories out. That is a complete lie. It is a complete lie that has been perpetuated through our society because it sells diets, essentially. It's one of these things where it's like, okay, well, yeah, like it's all up to you. You can control what your body is. And if you don't like how your body is, it's because you're not working hard enough. But when we look at the actual data, I mean, think of all the people that you know that eat tons and tons of calories and are very thin. Think of all the people that you know that are only eating like lettuce and grilled chicken in a very controlled way and working out every day and are consistently way bigger than they want to be. There's got to be something going on here, right? It's got to be more than calories in and calories out. So we're going to talk today about the 4 ways. There are more than 4, but these 4 main ways that undereating and overeating changes your body. So the first thing is that it causes weight gain. A lot of us start undereating because we want to lose weight, when in fact, trying to lose weight teaches our body how to gain weight. So with overeating, what's happening is that we have too much energy in our bodies, right? Just with the energy that we consumed, and it gets stored as fat. That's sort of like okay, yeah, like that's a normal thing to happen. Everyone's metabolism is a little bit different, but you know, with overeating, it causes weight gain, especially from binging, because of the way that it is, right? So a lot of times we'll restrict and then we'll binge. So we're essentially making our metabolism really slow and then piling a whole bunch of calories on top of it, which really teaches our body in a very rapid way. I mean, we've worked with women who are literally gaining 10 pounds a week when the thing that they were doing was working before. Like, that's just the thing that happens. So overeating, you know, turns into the weight gain. But then undereating teaches your body to gain weight as well. Because when we're undereating, then the body doesn't feel safe. It's like, oh, we're not getting enough food. We're not getting enough fuel. So what it does is it said, okay, this is a person that is constantly starving. So what needs to happen is this needs to be an overall larger person. Like, this person needs more fat on their body because they're in some sort of world where they keep starving and they keep on not getting enough day after day. Okay, well then what we need to do is just make them a larger person. That's it. Your body's just trying to protect you. This is where your set point weight gets pushed up. This is where you used to be this weight, you know, kind of floating around there. And now you're, you know, 10, 20, 50 pounds higher than that. Because your body, every time that you try to undereat, every time you try to restrict, is literally signaling for you to be like a permanently larger person. It teaches your body to not only store fat when you over or undereat, but it also teaches your body to permanently be larger. So number 2 is you're not able to lose weight anymore. So undereating is the biggest culprit here, because when your set point weight gets pushed up, the other thing that happens when your body sees that you're restricting and you're trying to manipulate your body, you're trying to lose weight, but your body reads it as this person is starving all the time. And so in addition to your set point weight getting pushed up, it slows your metabolism. And I'm not talking about temporary metabolism slowing. I'm talking about long-term, for the rest of your life, your metabolism slowing. Your body is serious about this. Your body does a couple things really well, and one of them is keeping you alive. And if it feels like you're not somebody who gets enough food, then what it does is it slows your metabolism. And this is why it makes it so much harder to ever lose weight, because when you could cut out 500 calories before, well, now you're cutting out like 1,000 calories. Now you're cutting out 1,500 calories, because your metabolism, every single time you restrict, is getting slower and slower and slower. this is a very well studied thing, you guys can look up studies on it, is when people try to lose weight, and when they're successful, I'll put that in quotes, in losing weight, what happens is it signals their body to, when they gain the weight, to have a higher set point. But then it happens a lot faster with the weight gain because their metabolism is so slow. And it gets to the point where you're not able to lose weight anymore. Your body just fights back enough to keep you alive. It's like, no, stop starving. No, this is not safe. And so no matter what you do, I mean, we have talked to women who are literally eating 500 calories a day and they are not losing a bit of weight. And these aren't women who are like super, super thin already. These are women who think that they have some weight to lose and they cannot do it anymore. Your body will slow your metabolism to such a crawl that it really doesn't matter how little you eat, and it doesn't matter how active you are. In fact, when you're being more active, your body will get more efficient so that you can run and run and run, and it just doesn't burn very many calories. Like, your body is super smart with this stuff, but it's the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. So there is a point where you're not able to lose weight anymore. So a lot of times with the women that we help, they've been through this yo-yo of like, okay, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, comes back faster, harder to lose, comes back faster, harder to lose, higher weight than ever. Nope, nothing works. All the diets that we did before, all the more extreme things, all the cutting out more calories, all this new stuff, all this stuff I'm injecting into myself, the pills that I'm taking, it doesn't work anymore. And I mean, it's a great thing because we want everyone to be free who wants to, but it's also sort of a bummer thing that's a lot of the times that like we buy into this lie for so long that's when we hear from people is, hey, I've been yo-yo dieting for 30 years and it's not working anymore. I literally have not been able to lose any weight no matter what I do for a year, and I'm the highest weight I've ever been. That's when we hear from people. And so it's a really cool thing when we hear from someone earlier than that. Like, hey, I've been doing this for 6 months. Like, I don't want to damage my body anymore. Let's get this fixed. And we fix it. That's awesome. But I mean, either way, there's never a bad time to get free. But think of all of the damage that happens on the way there. So the more like upstream you can fix this, the better, of course. But your body will get to a point where it will not lose weight anymore. So the third thing is that your body shape also changes. So with overeating, binging, your body gets larger in shape overall. But with the stress hormones that happen, then we're going from like a state of panic, right? Because it's not like we're just eating more food or under eating food. We're doing it in a high stress thing, right? We're doing it in I am the heaviest I've ever been. I cannot gain 1 more pound. It would be the most horrible thing ever. Like, I would hate my life if I was any heavier than this. This is an emergency. And we're coming from this place of like panic. Or we're under eating. It has to work this time. I have to lose the weight. I can't live like this anymore. This is just so awful. Like, I'm not going to be able to do what I want to. Like, I can't be on the floor with my grandkids anymore. Like, and it's all of this panic. So either way, we're doing it in this panicked place. And when we're eating or not eating from a place of panic, then what happens is it pumps cortisol through our bodies and all of these stress hormones that actually teach our body to not only store fat, but to store fat in a very specific way. So you guys have probably heard of like the corporate tire, right? Of like, people in like very high stress jobs, they start to gain weight just around the middle, just, around like the stomach, the love handle, sort of like those areas. And so it's the gaining weight with stress hormones. So it's not only that our body just gets larger, but the shape of our body changes. And it's sort of that, everyone's a different shape, right? It's like we have all sorts of different body shapes, but a lot of times it turns into a body shape that is unnatural to how you usually were, right? Like maybe, growing up, you were sort of one shape. And then after a while of yo-yo dieting, then all of a sudden it's like, why does all of the fat that I store go right to the middle, to that most dangerous place, that visceral fat, the kind that, gives you diseases, the kind that is like way more dangerous for you, right? And so, looking at that, you can be healthy at any size. That's an important thing to remember. Is no matter what size you are, you can continue to be healthier. But you can also gain weight in a very unhealthy way when you're binging and when it's full of, stress hormones in the style that you're gaining your weight. So those are some things to keep in mind, is that it also changes your body shape. And then when you get into things like bulimia, right, it's like this changes your body as in you're losing teeth, right? It's like, losing teeth, and then also really, swollen cheeks, like your face starts swelling up when you binge and purge or chew and spit. That's another way that people, another pattern that people get into. So the cheeks start getting really swollen. And then there's also the bloating. So the other thing is that, we eat stuff that we used to eat before, like, oh, I used to be fine with having a cup of yogurt. And now you have these foods and your body gets more and more sensitive to them. So then you start bloating, or you're not used to digesting food because you're either binging and purging or you're restricting so much that when you eat anything, you get super, super bloated. I remember how scary this was for me when I started eating again. And when I ended my eating disorder and got back into normal eating, is there's this transition phase where, you're bloated all the time. Your body doesn't know how to handle food, and it can be a scary thing. And I'm grateful that I knew how to navigate that and I knew what was happening. But a lot of us, when we start trying to be allowing or trying to get into a normal place with food, we have so many of these physical symptoms come up, right? We start rapidly gaining weight, we start bloating, and we don't know what to do with that. And so we go right back into those old patterns. And then, of course, there are things like, losing your voice, burning your vocal cords, with all the acid and, not having a voice anymore. So not having a voice and not having teeth, and sort of permanently changing your body shape. And then the fourth thing is the way that your brain changes. So with overeating, it becomes a habit, and your brain expects it. And because your brain's job is to keep the same habits going, then what happens is it'll just keep perpetuating that thing. And so your brain will come to expect it. And in fact, it'll put all these things in place so that you keep overeating. It'll tell you the things that works in overeating. It'll, give you all these excuses to overeat. It'll drive up your cravings to overeat, like all of those things, because it's trying to, okay, this is what we do. We overeat, right? So with overeating, it becomes a habit, and then it becomes more and more ingrained in our brain with that brain change. With undereating, your brain starts driving up the desire for food. So it's constantly in your thoughts. And it makes food much more appealing and much more important, where all of a sudden, like, eating is like the most exciting event of the day, and you're thinking about it all day, and it becomes a really high stakes thing. Like, if I don't get the food that I want, wouldn't that be awful? Or I didn't get what I wanted at the restaurant, like I should just binge later. Or, it really drives up the importance and the appeal and all of the thoughts about food. So when you used to just go throughout your day and sort of forget about food and be like, oh, it's time to eat, now you're looking forward to each meal every day, and you're looking at the clock, and this is your brain changing to really adapt to driving up the importance of food because of this pattern of restricting. Or you used to be able to just have a normal conversation, and now you're talking to somebody, but you're distracted because you're thinking of food, like you're thinking of what's on the snack table over there. So it might start out with, you used to like dessert, and now dessert seems like the most important thing ever. Like, nothing is more fun than eating. And so your brain starts picking up and adapting to the overeating and the undereating. So the first thing, like, dragging this out and being at a place where you're the highest weight ever, you're not able to lose weight anymore, you're having all of this bloating, all of these symptoms where your brain is changing, where the shape of your body is changing, and you just don't feel like you feel like you're in a foreign body. Like, that's a hard place to be. Like, I get it. Like, that's a really difficult place. But we've got to understand with the knowledge that the undereating is just as dangerous as the overeating. And they usually go hand in hand. And when you're going back and forth, it's creating the problem you were trying to get away from. If you're starting this all to try to lose weight, the thing that you're doing, if it's restrictive dieting to try to fix this, is the thing that's going to be the exact opposite of what you want. And that's just a good thing to know. So you've got to get real. Number one is about you got to get real about what doesn't work. You've got to be willing to step into that and be like, all right, you don't need to take my word for it. There's a whole lot of information out there about why that doesn't work, right? This is a well-studied thing. And then the next thing is to look at your history. Look at the evidence. Don't even take my word for it that it doesn't work. Look at, has it ever worked for you? Have you ever been able to undereat, restrict your calories, lose the weight, and then just keep that off? Just like, oh, okay, cool. I worked hard enough. I got my weight down this far, and now I can just, smooth sailing. Now I'm just this lower weight, and now I can just live my life at that lower weight. If that's ever worked, okay. All right, cool. But look at your history, your own personal history, and ask yourself, has it ever worked? Oh, so fun seeing you guys on. Hello. Thank you for the thumbs up and the hearts and all the love. So the first thing is you've got to get real about what doesn't work. And then number two, you've got to look at your history. Just look at your own history and look at the evidence there, and see, has it ever worked for you to be doing the under eating or continue with the overeating? And then the third thing is, like I said, I'm not here to convince you of anything. Like, you can do whatever you want to. Like, I'm never here to guilt you, or I'm just here to give you the truth of like what we found with the hundreds and hundreds of people that we have freed from their eating disorders, where they don't struggle with food anymore. And they struggled with food really, really badly for 25 or 45 years. And now they're done. I want to share with you guys like the data that actually works. And so with that, you can choose to accept that or not. But we can choose our choices and we cannot choose our consequences. So if you choose, and it's totally your choice, if you choose to continue to restrict because it's okay, I've just got to get down, I've just got to lose some weight, I've just got to feel better, I'm going to go on one more diet, it's going to be one more thing, it's just these next 2 months, whatever it is. If that is your choice, you also must be willing to accept these changes that we've talked about in your body as you continue, because you can choose to do that, and that's your choice. But you could not choose the consequences of biologically and mentally what happens when you do that. So just get in touch with yourself and just ask. And if the answer is yes, and that's okay, that's your choice. But you need to go to the place of asking, am I willing to gain 20 more pounds permanently, where that's never going to be gone? Am I willing to push my set point up? Am I willing to gain 20 pounds permanently and have that or more on my body for the rest of my life in order to try the next 6 months losing weight? Is that something that you're willing to do? Give it 6 months, continue to restrict, and are you willing to be, these aren't exact numbers, right? Like, everyone's metabolism is a little bit different. This is an example. But whatever it is, are you willing to accept the consequences of continuing to restrict? And if that's worth it to you, you know what? This is all cool, what Lydia's saying, but I just got to try a little harder. All right, cool. But you've got to be accepting that when you do, if you choose to fix this at its root and to fix this all the way, that willingness to, okay, yes, I own that I am going to be permanently heavier. I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be free, but I will be permanently heavier because I chose to continue on with the restricting and to see if that worked and to experiment. All right. If that's worth it to you, then it's worth it to you. And that's totally, totally up to you. With what we do, with the people who want to end this right now, who are done with that cycle that has never served them, the first thing that we do is fix the eating. We're not delving into any past trauma. We're not showing you new coping mechanisms. Essentially, we're not doing anything you don't need. We just fix the eating. We end the pattern. We end the habit of the overeating, the binging, and the undereating. And so you can get out of the restriction and the binging so that you're at this place where your body can trust you again. And with the disordered eating out of the way, your hunger and fullness signals naturally come back. And it makes sense how to eat. It's not a skill that you have to learn, like, okay, well, I've got to learn how to eat so that I can stop my disordered eating. No, you just stop your disordered eating and your body already knows how to eat. It is something that is shockingly simple for like so many of our clients. Like, they've been doing this for 35 years, right? They've been binging, they've been purging, their hair is falling out sometimes. Like, it's gotten to a point where it's like, we got to fix this, right? And then, maybe in a handful of weeks or so, they're done with the habit. And then all of a sudden, for the first time in 25 years, they feel hungry. And then they feel full when they eat. And it's just like, it's always this, it's so fun to see everyone get shocked of like, whoa, I just know what to do. It's not a big thing. I just know how to eat. And it's like, yay, we celebrate. And it's awesome. But I want you guys to know that sort of chasing that, like, okay, I've got to figure out how to eat the right amount. It's like, no, get the disordered eating out of the way. And then it's going to be clear how to eat. And really just that change is the approach. And the only reason that we do it that way, the only reason that we end the disordered eating first is because that's what works. Everything we do is based on the data of what actually works, what actually gets people free. None of it is in theory. It's like, oh, okay, all right, this works, this doesn't, and now we just have a collection of all the things that actually work and nothing in addition to that. It's no fluff, right? I mean, there's some cool additional things, like once you use these principles to be done with your eating disorder, then, you know, a lot of times people use these principles to help with their anxiety and to fix their relationships and to, like, you know, help with their career and like all that sort of stuff, because it's just knowing how your brain works and how to navigate that and how to do what you want to, no matter what your brain says. So you can apply these principles to many other areas. But the point is like, let's just get free first. And if you guys would like some help doing that, what you can do is pop over to lifewithlydia.com/apply. So that's lifewithlydia.com/apply. There's a calendar page. You've got to, you know, wait a second for that to load. And then we're a lot of times really booked up. We have a huge, huge demand. But if you see a spot, just snag that right away and just, you know, put it on your calendar, make sure that you're there. Because if for some reason, you know, something happens, I mean, let us know right away, because there's such a huge demand. We want people to be able to use those spots that are looking for them. But if something happens, you might not be able to get on the calendar again for the next little while. So just make sure to note it for you on your end. And what we're going to do is really help you to get the foundation of freedom. So we're going to get clarity on where you're at right now with this cycle that is unique to you. Everyone's a little bit different. So we have to really understand what's going on. And then we have to really understand what freedom means to you. Like, what do you want, right? Because it's like a GPS, like your brain has to have both things to know where to go so we can be able to close that gap. And if we can close that gap so that you can be free, we'll show you how. And if not, then we'll know where to direct you. Just yesterday, I directed someone to another resource because, like, we got clarity on what the problem was, and it wasn't something that was going to be a fit for us to help them with. So like, they were so grateful that now they know who can help them. It's like, cool, right? We're here to serve you either way, but we're here to help you with that foundational step, because you can't go anywhere unless you have that. Like, you've got to be able to get that first. So that's lifewithlydia.com/apply to snag a free session. So glad you guys are here. So fun to see all of your fun, you know, hearts and thumbs up and all this beautiful participation. Thank you for being part of this community, and we will talk soon. Mwah! Bye.